loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Bing bong, Wayne Spooney here, First to the Floor podcast. Jake, they did it again.
I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe you when it was percolating, and the whole game, it was like they're just hanging in. But there were so many moments, just like in Game 1 of the Knicks series, where I was like, "Oh, that's probably it." It's not their night. 20 turnovers or whatever it was in the first half, and they just survived it. I don't know how, really, in that, because they should have been down 25, and we're in the playback, and we're just like, man, if I was a Thunder fan, you the whole game you must be thinking we should be up 25, we should be up 30, we should be up big, and the Pacers just, they kept hitting these tough shots to just keep them attached. And then they went fourth quarter devil magic mode. They now have done it in every single round, where they did it to close out the Bucks down 7 with under a minute to go. Mm-hmm. They did it against the Cavs when Nesmith has the putback dunk. They steal the inbounds. Halliburton has the reverse pull up three to win it. Obviously, we covered the Knicks game. The bounce off the ring into the heavens and back in, does the choke sign, not for the win. And then again, they're down 10 with 2 minutes to go. And it's like Miles Turner banks in a pump fake sidestep. And I'm just like, that's way off. It was way off. It banks in. Nesmith, of course, part of this party, hits a ridiculous three, gets the most important rebound of the game off the Shea stop.
Got 2 huge rebounds, dude.
We got shades of first and second year Nesmith in this game, just like, because that's kind of what the Thunder do to you, but got the rebounds. I mean, and then Halliburton again, just as soon as he has the ball, you're like, he doesn't miss these shots. He doesn't miss. It's crazy.
Dude, it's absolutely incredible. I watched the fourth quarter on delay because I'm old and these games go very, very late at night.
Yes.
So I knew they won when I'm watching it, and I'm still just like, how do they win this game? There was a point it was like, I think they cut it to like 3 with like 3.5 minutes left or 4 minutes left. And then OKC bumps it right back up to 10. And I'm like, this is absolute utter nonsense. And yeah, like Nesmith hits a huge corner 3. Turner banks one in. Nembhard had that like monster nuts, double crossover, right, step back on Shea, that just monster shot that I think made it like 115, 112 or 105, 108, like to pull it within 3 late in the game. They're just like it's like they are okay defensively for the entire game, and then in the last like 4 minutes, like nobody can score on them. It is absolutely bizarre. They gobble up every rebound, and yeah, man, like that's Cason Wallace. Hallie got that bucket on. Like, this isn't the Knicks anymore. This is one of the best defenses we've seen in 25 years. Like, probably since the Pistons and the 04 Pistons. Yeah. If you're a younger fan, like when we're in the Discord, people will be like, yeah, I started watching in 2018. And I'll be like, oh, why? Like, well, I was 10, in 2018. And I'm just like, oh, right.
Awesome.
I'm old. Okay.
Yes.
If you're a newer NBA fan, this is not normal. This is one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my like 20 plus years of watching the NBA. Like, you might get one weird comeback. Like we did it once against Indy last year. To have 4 massively improbable comebacks, this is insane. It's awesome. It's really fun.
Dude, yeah, I mean, It is crazy when you think about that Pacers series because we had the game one, like the Jaylen steal and shot to send it to overtime. Game two was a blowout, but game three was also a 17-point comeback. It's almost like it was like a inverse of what the Pacers are now doing to everybody else. Eric Weiss makes a good point. That 21-22 Celtics defense was insane. It's just
healthy.
I was gonna say it's just unfortunate that we didn't get to see it fully realized with Rob Williams healthy in the playoffs, because I do think that they probably win the title if he doesn't go down, which Draymond randomly mentioned in his end of season press conference in when injuries, and I was like, wow, Draymond Green bringing up like injuries have helped us and now they're hurt us, and he mentioned Rob Williams in the 22 finals. I was not expecting that. Side tangent, but that Nembhard shot, Andrew fucking Nembhard, dude, like
The GOAT.
And he really struggled in the latter half of the Knicks series, but he ended up turning it on in the fourth quarter of that game. He's only 4 for 11 in this game, but 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and he guarded Shea all night. And Shea ended up having like 38 points on, I want to say it was like 56% true shooting, but 14 for 30, like that was kind of the game plan. It looked like it's like we're gonna let Nesmith or Nembhard a lot of the night. Ben Shepherd got his cracks as well, like gonna play him kind of straight up. But that Devil Magic Nembhard, that step back three was just like one of the filthiest shots I've seen. Nembhard gets to the line like a next possession, I'm pretty sure, and the ball just touches every part of the ring. Absolutely insane. I'm not sure if you can hear my new dog chewing on the...
I can, yes. Oh, congrats on the new dog, too. That's
thank you.
awesome.
I should definitely tell him to stop doing this after I hand it back to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Carlisle's just such an incredibly good coach. I really in my head going into the series, I just kind of I wasn't really thinking too detailed about the matchups, but it was like, obviously you're going to put Nesmith on Shea. That he's your best perimeter defender. Let's do that. But instead he goes with Nembhard, who did okay. He did really well against Brunson in game 6. I thought he struggled really hard in the first 5 games against Brunson, but it's like, okay, Nembhard, do as well as you can on Shea. We'll have Siakam there to help you. And we're just going to have Nesmith take Jalen Williams completely out of the game, which he did. Williams was pretty bad, 17 points, but it's 6 of 19 shooting. He never looked comfortable except for a little spurt in the fourth quarter. And I'm not sure Nesmith was on the court then. So it looks to me like Indy's just going to let Shea, if you want to take 15 mid-range jumpers and you'll make 9 of and 10 of them, and it'll look great for your efficiency, it's going to be really hard to outscore this Indiana offense if that is the primary sort of way you're getting your points, Oklahoma City. And so I thought that was a really interesting, not an adjustment, but just a tactical decision from Carlisle to just be like, you'll do okay, Andrew. Just make him work for it. He's going to get his buckets on you. And then we're just going to take basically everybody else out of this game. And I thought a big part of Nesmith was amazing on Williams. I thought Siakam was incredible defensively. Yes. It was every time somebody drove, it's just here's Pascal Siakam. It's okay. And then okay, now we got to kick it out. And maybe it's an open shooter, but it's Case and Wallace or it's Dort who hit his threes. But, dude, if you just live with Blue Dort taking 9 threes in a game, that's fine. That means your defense probably worked pretty well.
Yeah. It's interesting to look at because it's on one hand, it felt like the Thunder should have been up more, but at the same time, Lou Dort hit 5 threes and was keeping them not in it, but that was part of the reason they had the lead. Yeah, the Jalen Williams Chet thing. It is interesting. Their team is different in the sense of the reason this team is so good is their historic defense and their collective depth. The reason they're able to have the historic defense is because they can go 9, 10 deep. And it's they had 7 or 8 guys that had legitimate cases for all defense. It's Lou Dort was getting all defense votes, and Shea's definitely not on the same level as these other guys, but he can obviously guard Chet fantastic. And Caruso, Caruso was causing so much chaos, honestly, like getting offensive rebounds and stuff. But the one concern that people had about the Thunder was like the offense and the non-Shai Gilgeous-Alexander creation and shooting and scoring, and how the youth of Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren might turn up. And Jalen Williams, outside of like a couple of games, he's now averaging, what is he averaging? 21.6 points on 53.7% true shooting. Ooh. And like the individual, we've talked about this, the individual efficiency of your main guy is like a little bit, less important. Shea got there in the end, but it's like, are you getting the offense humming? If you're going to be the Jaylen Williams, the Jaylen Brown, you can't be dipping into like the 53% true shooting range. Your 3-point percentage like going to be starting to, are you going to start to, keep packing the paint, and it just creates this like cycle of like, you're going to have to prove that you can punish us for us to loosen up the paint potentially. So, and Chet I thought was a disaster. And I think that he's like been really uneven throughout the playoffs. Like, what did he end up to yesterday? He was 2 for 9, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Chet,
2 for 9.
And he kept like attacking in really weird spots. He felt like he was trying to get himself going or something. And it was like, dude, just let the game come to you. That's the power of this team, is like just fill in the gaps. And he was attacking in some really like the opposite of advantageous spots. 2 for 9, only took 1 3, which is not a good sign either. And defensively was I thought was good. But if those guys are going to be struggling to that extent, like they're going to be a combined 8 for 28, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a massive problem. Yeah, and just kind of for reference, if we're grading second options, Jalen 59 true shooting percentage last year in the playoffs. So like just way above from an efficiency standpoint from Jalen Williams this year. Yeah, I thought Chet was really bizarre. I thought Simmons made a pretty interesting point on his podcast with Lowe, where it's like, we've got this guy. I just looked at the Ringer top 100. He's 27. Oh, God. The guys right behind him are Darius Garland, Jamal Murray, Harden, Domantas Sabonis, and Bam. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if those guys were on the team in the finals, any of them playing 24 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Insane, man. Like, okay, it either says, one, like Dagnall made a mistake, or two, maybe Chet isn't quite as good as we think he is, or at least in this matchup isn't quite as good as we all think he is. Because he was not in foul trouble. He was not hurt. Like, it was a purely tactical decision by Dagnall to play him 24 minutes. And it may have been a mistake. But I think you're right. Like, Chet just did not look comfortable. I don't think his value is truly in his like ability to get back to the rim and be sort of like Rob Williams on defense, but he's not like switchable in the way that Rob is. So it felt like with Miles Turner out there, he just kind of was like, we're just going to park Miles Turner above the break and like keep you away from the rim, and you're not going to really impact this game defensively. And like, I don't know if they'll put him on Pascal and like have him sag off, but that feels dangerous because Siakam, I think I'm becoming a Siakam stan, Jake. Dude, like, he's so good.
It's an interesting one for Celtics fans. You're absolutely right on Chet. He was, challenging Miles Turner over and over again. And Miles Turner's not, the best. He's slipped defensively for sure. But like, Chet's also not taken this offensive step where he can be challenging rim protectors like out in the open court and like getting off balance and attacking. But Siakam, Celtics fans, it's funny because I think we're anchored to the bubble series in that the Celtics just destroyed him. And then honestly, for years, like I want to say he lost like 12 games in a row to the Celtics.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah.
Jaylen has some guys he's just really, really good against. Siakam, Luka. There's just certain guys that he just takes their lunch. And I think for Celtics fans, it's like, that's obviously going to, inform a lot of your opinion, but he's been awesome in these playoffs. He's been awesome ever since the trade to Indiana. And I had this, I'll ask you, like, do you think Siakam's in the same tier as Jaylen? Because I think what Siakam's done in this playoff run proves it he is.
Yeah, I absolutely think he's in the same tier as Jaylen. My anti-Siakam bias was always when people were trying to put him in the Tatum conversation. He's not at that level. He's never been at that level, even when he made All-NBA second team. He had like a super hot shooting start for like 2 months, cooled off, and was like normal Pascal Siakam, which is an awesome, like borderline All-NBA third team type of guy. So, which I think is exactly where Jaylen is. Like, there's just not a huge difference between like 18th best player in the NBA and 30th best player in the NBA.
Yes.
It's just like a bunch of guys that it's like depends on the team construction around you. And like the great thing about Jaylen and why I might rather have him is he like fits, well, I don't know. Siakam fits in just about any team too, because he's like switchable on defense. And he's versatile offensively, and they both like this jumper kind of comes and goes from three for both of them. So I think they're like pretty equal players to me. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to, like, if you're going to be someone that uses what Jaylen did in last year's playoffs and finals run as an indication of why he deserves to be top 20 or whatever you have him at, then you have to do the same thing for Siakam. And they're different players. Obviously, like Siakam's not quite as like, I mean, Siakam gets into his post game as well and like hits those fadeaways similar to Jaylen. Like that's a big part of his game as well, but he's not quite like the same isolation scorer. Jaylen's a much better, like a better on ball defender, whereas Siakam is incredible as a help defender. But Siakam doesn't turn the ball over. Like he's averaging 1.1 turnovers in these playoffs. Like it's just so important. And he's not asked to do as much initiating as Jaylen is at times. But yeah, man. And Siakam, we'll see how real it is. But I mean, he's shooting fucking 46% from three in these playoffs. And 39% was his regular season. So I wonder if getting to Indy, he had those weird years in Toronto where like once Kawhi left, he was just kind of wandering through the desert of Masai Ujiri's Vision 6'9" that didn't really make a lot of sense. But Siakam now has been the second best player or tied second best player on one finals team that won the title. And now he just won Eastern Conference Finals MVP on a team that's now up 1-0 against a 68-win Thunder team. He's fucking awesome. And so I've definitely come around on Siakam, and the fact that he only makes a normal max as opposed to super max is a nice... it's just nice that he's probably paid more correctly than Jaylen as well, which is not much we can do about that. But yeah, man, I don't know. For the series, does this change? Like, I don't know. I picked Thunder in 5. I would be surprised if the Thunder win in 5 now. Like, probably at least goes 6.
Yeah. I still am leaning Thunder. But part of me is like, look, Indy turned it over 24 times. OKC had a 40 points per 100 off of steals in this game. That is awful. Like, that's like if me and you were trying to play offense against an NBA team. And barely won the offensive rebound battle 13-10. So like they got destroyed in the possession game. And I suspect OKC will look at the tape and realize, like, how are we this bad in transition? It makes absolutely zero sense. And Indy shot 18 of 39 from 3. So, like, those two things don't hold. And all of a sudden, this is like a 30-point blowout. And that, that comeback makes it 14. And it doesn't matter, right? But on the flip side, Indy's probably like, we're not going to turn it over that much again. So I guess what I'm getting at is, I think these teams are more even than I gave Indy credit for coming into this series. I was not super interested in this series just from like I feel like the outcome was pretty obvious. And now I'm like all in. Like, I think this is going to be an awesome one. And yeah, like, I think it might go 7 at this point. Like, Indy kind of seemed like they started to figure things out in that second half. And like OKC has some serious offensive limitations. Like Case and Wallace, they just ignored him. And that's tough. And they need him. Like, he's a huge part of the team. They kind of ignored Caruso too, somewhat. And like, I wonder if they go double bigs OKC in this next game to just like, well, if you're going to have Siakam, like he does have a weakness as like, if he's at the 4, he's not a great rebounding 4-man. And bludgeon him on the glass. But yeah, I think if I had to like put money on it, I'd say OKC in 7 at this point. Where you
Yeah.
at?
I mean, at this point, right? Like you start from when the Pacers, like the first month after they had their slow start, they're on like they're a 60 win type team. The defense has taken multiple steps forward, which is the big thing for this team. So like they now have the profile of a team that's better than maybe like you thought a 50 win team was because of that slow start. And that first half, it reminds me of when the Celtics would play the Heat coming out of like an easy series. Like who did they play against the Sixers into the Heat in this series where they went down 0-3 and then lost in Game 7? Sorry for the reminder. But like the culture shock of going from one defense to the next, where the defense you're going to next is like of hellacious ball pressure, turnover, just a really good elite defense, as we talked about. And going from the Knicks defense, where the Pacers did everything that we thought the Celtics were going to do by taking advantage of Brunson, by taking advantage of Cat, from that type of defense that they're dealing with to going to the Thunder's defense is just a chasm apart.
Yeah.
And so it's like they were dealing with culture shock in that first half. But then in the second half, they won the second half 31. They 66 to 53, and they only had 5 turnovers in the second half. And so, and in the third, and like obviously part of that is the fourth quarter comeback. But in the third quarter, they won the quarter 31 to 28, and they only had 2 turnovers. So it's like they adjusted, and I wonder if that second half is a little more indicative of what they're actually capable of dealing with when it comes to Thunder defense. They have the depth to kind of handle the Thunder depth, whereas like, can the Thunder keep that hellacious pressure up over and over and over again? And the Pacers, that was the thing coming into the series. Like they take care of the ball really well, and that kicked in the second half. So yeah. I think this is a series now, which is just that's the best thing about the result is that now the finals are going to be good because the Pacers are good enough to get another game probably in the next 3 here to make it at least a 6-gamer. So we're going to get some, because it's a fucking must win for the Thunder all immediately. You can't go down 0-2.
Yeah, it's the Ben Vallis trademark must win game 2 for sure. Real quick, I'll throw you to Prize Picks after. I just want to make like 2 very small points. One, Obi Toppin was awesome. Got to shout him out. He was dreadful for the first like 2 minutes, and then he figured it out, buried some threes. And I really thought what was interesting in the second half is it was like, if Dort's going to be on Halliburton, then Nembhard's our point guard. We'll just run Hallie off screens and try to get him off of him and then have it. But like Nembhard ran point like for the last like 8 minutes of that game when they made that comeback. So Carlisle's got balls, man. Like it is ballsy to take the ball out of your best player's hands and give it. But is it that ballsy to give it to Andrew Nembhard, who's the GOAT? I don't know. Maybe not. But,
Demon.
All righty. We're going to move on, talk about Spurs, some noise about the Spurs and Jaylen Brown. But first, a message from Prize Picks.
Prize Picks time, baby. NBA Finals are here. Our Indiana Pacers are up 1-0 in the NBA Finals. My strategy of going more on Shea continued to work. I also went less on Jalen Williams in hopes of potentially, getting Jalen Williams to win Finals MVP. So those have kind of been my 2 bets through game 1. And if Shea's going to take 30 shots and J-Dub's going to continue to play like garbage, more on Shea points and less on J-Dub points seems to be a winning recipe so far. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Awesome. Prize Picks, super fun. Add a little fun to watching your game experience. Okay. This is in the zeitgeist. People are talking about it. I'm not necessarily saying we should do this. I don't think you're necessarily saying we should do this, but Jaylen Brown to the Spurs makes a whole lot of sense. The Spurs want to.
This is reported from Chris Mannix, kind of, and it wasn't like one of those like this is what I think both teams should do. It was like I'm hearing, and he does know some people. I don't know. It's hard to pass through everything at the moment, but he actually reported it, which is different to like what Tim Bontemps said about Al Horford, which we'll get to as well.
Yeah. So
Ben Vallis, unbelievable.
we should do it. I'm kind of leaning there too. But
Unbelievable.
anyway, okay. So
Go on,
essentially,
go on.
here's how I look at it. The Spurs make a lot of sense because they can accomplish multiple of our goals. Like if we're trading Jaylen Brown, I feel like we have 3 primary goals: cut salary, get someone who's like replaceably as good in the same position, and get younger, like high level young talent. So I think every trade that I would do with the Spurs, bar one, it must include Devin Vassell, who's like a efficient 17 points, 6'6" wing, he's like 75% of Jaylen Brown and much cheaper and younger. And has to include Harrison Barnes, who is a $20 million expiring contract. So you can just let him walk, or you can re-sign him at like, $5 million, $6 million a year after that and save just an absolute ton of money. And then like they have young pieces. So Jake, I have like 3 in my head, like Vassell's coming back and then some form of salary relief. There's 3 centerpieces to the trade. And I want you to tell me which of the centerpieces is your favorite. I already think I know the answer to this, but I think you can either do a trade with De'Aaron Fox. You probably don't get Vassell in this one. Or you can do a trade with Steph Castle. You do get Vassell in that one. Or you can do a trade with the number 2 pick and you get Vassell. Where are you? Which door are you opening, Jake?
I'm definitely in the minority here. I've learned
the
over the past couple of days. And I'm of those 3 guys, or those options, I prefer to get De'Aaron Fox. Like, I think that he's the best player. And I did this with the Scoot Henderson draft. And after the Jaylen Brown shat his pants in Game 7 of the Heat series, and I was like, you get Scoot, and you get whatever the package was back then. And these guys that people love in the draft, Dylan Harper's probably going to be good. There's a actual percentage chance that he's either not very good, 2, that he's not ready to play until, or like win in the playoffs for like 5 years, which is like, look at Jalen Williams and Chet we talked about right now. Like in 3 years, they're probably going to be way better in the playoffs. So I'm just like, the De'Aaron Fox is like an all-star type player. The Fox deal is also predicated on being able to negotiate the extension before he gets here, similar to what the Pacers did for Pascal Siakam. They traded for him, and they already had the 30% max extension negotiated. I wouldn't want to give him a 30% max. You're going to save money on a Jaylen max. If you could get it for like a 23 to 25% max, then that's something that 23% of the cap hit.
Yeah,
I would do that. I'm not. Is Vassell? I'll start with the Fox thing. I like the pairing. I'm higher on Fox apparently than I realized. And people are saying Fox's regression in 3-point shooting and defense. I understand that. I wonder how much of that is just like the Kings being in that environment is complete nonsense. Similar to how when Pascal Siakam went from the Raptors over to the Pacers, much better environment. He really flourished. And I could see that for Fox. He's been fucking in Sacramento for his whole career. And he got to play like 6 weeks or whatever it was with the Spurs. Like, I've always been a big fan of him. Clutch player of the year 2 years ago.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Huge. Okay, so yeah, I'm a Fox guy in these 3 options.
Okay, so I will say, like, to me, the Castle option is by far last. Okay. I love Steph Castle because I think he's going to be an amazing 4th best player on a championship team. Like what we have in Drew Holiday right now, like this version of Drew Holiday, to me is like what Steph Castle will be when he's like in his prime. Like connector, can run a second side pick and roll, like can make an open shot, and amazing defensive player. I do not think Steph Castle is going to be like your 2nd best player. So he's out. Because I just like, if we're trading Jaylen Brown, I need either an established star, which is Fox, or someone who I think can be a star. And that is obviously Dylan Harper, who, like, I never wanted to trade Jaylen for Scoot. I did like Scoot as a prospect. I thought he was really good. Harper has some things that make him better as a prospect than Scoot, in that he's 6'5" and he's got a like really mature game with his footwork. And I trust this jumper more than Scoot's jumper. So I would seriously consider the number 2 pick in Vassell. Like, Vassell, he's fine. 16 points a game, like 57% or so true shooting. He shot 37% from 3, like the last 3 years, 6'5" wing. That's a valuable player archetype. Like, you just need guys like that. He can't be your second best player. Maybe he can be your 4th best player, and then you hope Harper kind of levels up into like your 2nd or 3rd best player. Thinking about where Tatum will be in 2 years, like, is that enough time for Harper to truly evolve and be a great player? Maybe. The flips, so like, it to me, it's I wouldn't care if it's Fox or if it's Vasily Castle. I'd be okay with either of those outcomes. Ultimately, the upside with Harper is that, like, he'll be like 25 when Tatum's 35, right? Like, he can be the next great Celtic. Whereas Fox is on the exact same time frame. It's like, okay, the window closes in like 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. And I suspect Fox will probably not age very well. But I'm with you. I think Fox is incredible, man. Like, he's kind of unguardable at times when he's got the right matchup.
Yeah, I just think, and you pair him with someone like Tatum, and Derek, and it's an interesting. It's a weird, potentially fit depth wise. Pritchard is your your 3rd guard, but I think I would like to see Joe run some more of that 3 guard stuff. But it's a good problem to have. Is like Derek, Peyton, and De'Aaron Fox is a really potent offensive trio, obviously, and he would be playing with Tatum, the best player he's played with so far. I have no idea. Like, people saying Fox isn't going anywhere. That's fair as well. I don't think that any of these make a ton of sense for the Spurs. I don't know. Are they trading all of this for Jaylen? It's interesting that they're. I guess that they made the win now move with Fox. Would they make another one with Jaylen while like Wemby is still on his rookie contract? That would be the argument. I'm not a Castle guy. The Harper thing's a tricky one, man. It's just like, the question is, can you flip the number 2 pick into the next star instead of drafting Dylan Harper? Because the 2 timeline thing, it kind of worked with the Spurs, with Kawhi turning into an MVP candidate, but it also coincided with Tim Duncan being able to basically be like 80% of Tim Duncan when he was like 37, 38. Basically, the Tim Duncan version of Al Horford. Like, he had incredible longevity as well. And it's really hard to pull off. The Warriors didn't nail those draft picks, Wiseman, Kuminga. And I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about Dylan Harper, but I'm just kind of talking about like the history of the draft. And he's not a Cooper Flag. It's just like, he's a really, really good prospect. We've seen really, really good prospects take a little while to be ready to win in the NBA playoffs. It's a good question from Ben Vallis in the chat, though. What is Jaylen like in 2 years' time as well? He's 28, I guess, right? Like, he's not old. It's funny when you see these articles. It's like, by the time Jayson Tatum gets back from his injury, Derek White's going to be 32. And it's like, so still in his prime, basically, is what we're talking about in 2025. Like, what do they know about Jaylen's knee injury?
Yeah.
That's probably the most important thing. And that would be part of the Spurs trade. Like, getting those medicals, doing physicals. Is he totally fine? Then I'd prefer to keep Jaylen. And I think we're all aligned on that. Or would you, if given the option here, just keep Jaylen if it means you can, and the only reason you have to trade Jaylen is because there's a mandate to cut these salaries and do some type of retool? Because I would much prefer, my number one thing that I want to see going into the next season and the following season is the big 3 of Jaylen, Jayson, and Derek, and we build out to depth around that. We're just talking about these potentials because the CBA is boning us.
Yeah. I think I'd probably try to trade Jaylen for Aaron Nesmith, but other than that,
Throw in a couple picks though.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, we got 2026. We can trade. It's fine. So I'm a sucker for young potential. I love having like a young potential superstar on the team. So I do find the Dylan Harper trade to be sort of emotionally attractive to me, but from a rational standpoint. And I also love Jaylen Brown. Like I texted in our Discord, like seeing Jaylen in a Spurs jersey just makes me really sad. So my preference is to keep Jaylen Brown, and unless we know something about the knee, like if the injury stuff is real, then you just have to trade him before everybody else finds out about it. And then you're right in that it comes down to like what ownership is willing to do. Like if they're like, hey man, dump KP or find somebody to take Drew and cut 15 million and let's keep it moving, that's great. That's amazing. If they're like, you need to get under the first apron or get under the luxury tax, like all bets are off. Like everyone except Tatum is on the table, and we just don't really know where that's headed right now. But yes, my number one like choice would be find probably a taker for KP and a sort of a lower level center that can like is better than Luke Cornett, give it like be a legitimate starting center, but obviously not someone as good at KP at his ceiling when he's healthy, and just keep on moving.
Well, you see this parity era now. It's you actually you don't need to have a team that was as good as last year's Celtics team in order to have a chance at winning the title. Like you go back and look at these, you know, the Nuggets were not the profile of a team that was historically dominant. The Pacers, as good as they've been in the latter halves of the season, like they don't profile as a team like the Celtics or the Thunder. The CBA is sadly breaking the Celtics team up, but it's also means that it's actually easier to be in the mix, especially if you have Jaylen, Jayson. It's just like you roll the ball out and let those two guys be healthy. You tend to win a lot of playoff games. And I understand people are talking themselves into it. Shout out Mac in the Discord, active. Say we trade JB to the Spurs for a haul, number 2, 14 picks. I just always come back to like, what are the chances that Dylan Harper's as good as De'Aaron Fox, as good as Jaylen Brown? Low. And so I'm only doing it if it's a salary cap mandate motivated move. I'm not doing it from a purely like I'm trying to make this team better. I'm trying to give us more chances to win the title, because I don't think that these trades actually do that for us. Like Devin Vassell, 70%, 80% of Jaylen. I think it's lower than that.
50.
Yeah, like purely like the defensive stuff from Jaylen in the playoffs, having the ability to guard the Pascal Siakams and the Luka Doncic's, the Jalen Brunsons and the Carl Anthony, like it's team building easy mode when you have Jaylen and Jayson on the fucking team. And I would hate to see that change. That being said, I would love if Dylan Harper's fucking awesome. That would be a fun path. If we're gonna do a Jaylen Brown trade, if it ends up being a Vassell and a number 2 overall pick type trade, that is a fun, exciting package you can talk yourself into. I wouldn't be like completely distraught about the return. I would just be really upset about losing Jaylen. So we're going to keep doing this.
Eric said, like, I'm assuming this is Drew Holiday for Gafford, because that's the kind of trade that's been going around and move up for Thomas Sorber. I love Sorber. He's like a more athletic Luke Cornett with the way he plays, like super high level reads in the short roll and super strong and a great rebounder and good rim protector. 7'5" wingspan, even though he's only 6'9". So, I mean, yeah, I really like him. He's projected like mid-20s, so I would be totally fine with that. And getting Gafford, I think Gafford's like the exact like level of center I'm thinking about. If like we can turn KP, cut some salary, and get a guy like Gafford, to me that's an extremely successful offseason. But okay, there's some other random stuff that we're gonna hit, but I'm gonna move on and do game time, Jake, unless you got anything else.
No, perfect. I think that actually dovetails nicely into the Al Horford Knicks stuff and our big man rotate. I know. I know, disgusting. But I'll run the game time. Be real.
All right, thank you. It's the NBA Finals. The Pacers have done it again, and I have been lucky enough to be in the building for an NBA Finals game, a Celtics win, 2022 Game 3. I went with an Australian I met on the internet, and it was legitimately one of the best days of my life. I can only imagine Pacers fans are feeling the same way now. And you know how I got in the door? Game time. It was super easy to get tickets. I just hopped on the app, searched for a game, and then you're shown all the available tickets and all the best deals right on your phone. The curated deals make it even easier to find the best seats at the best prices, and their last minute deals get you tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. But maybe my favorite feature is the seat view. It'll show you exactly what it looks like from any seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Hell yeah, boys and girls. My bad.
No, it's my fault.
Yeah. Okay. Al Horford. This, thankfully, was not an actual report. This was just Tim Bontemps pontificating about Al Horford's free agency versus retirement, staying with the Celtics, etc., and how it would make sense for him to go to the Knicks. And like on paper, obviously the Knicks could use Al Horford because literally any team that's trying to win basketball games could use Al Horford. I've mentioned that if he's going to leave the Boston Celtics, I'd like him to go to like the Denver Nuggets because that would be cool to see him play with Jokic. The concept, even the mere reading of the words of Al Horford to the Knicks is purely vomit inducing. I don't see that happening. I want to ask you this question though. Al Horford, before the Tatum injury, all indications were like he's just definitely not retiring and coming back. The problem with Al in the playoffs was that KP's mystery plague thing forced Horford into playing 37 minutes per night in multiple games that series, entire fourth quarters, which Joe Mazzulla didn't need to happen. Probably should have played Luke Cornett more, especially from the beginning. I believe in 2 years, Horford can be a capable, actual backup rotational big still. Give you 16 to 20 minutes a night. It wouldn't you see what LeBron's doing at 40, you see what KD's still doing and Steph's doing, like you just bake in like 2 to 5% decline year on year. If you're able to pull off the Gafford trade and have Luke Cornett and Al Horford, I think that's actually perfect for Al. You have someone like Gafford that can play your 28 minutes a night. Cornett can give you the 18, and then Al just like fills in the gaps and gives you depth and doesn't have to be the savior every single year.
Yeah, man. Al Horford is at the point in his career where he should be playing 10 to 15 minutes a night, especially in the playoffs. So I'm with you, man. Like I have full faith in 41-year-old Al Horford to be like our third big and be really positive as long as his shot doesn't leave him. I think if the shot goes, and sometimes it does go with guys as they age and they kind of lose the legs a little bit, if he can still shoot, he's going to be a positive NBA player because he's going to stretch the floor. And like, I think he'll be just on smarts and ability and like his communication on the back line. He's going to be a solid defensive center until like he's in a wheelchair at 80 years old. Like he's just going to be able to play. Like it was the same as Duncan. Like even when Duncan retired, Duncan was like 41 when he retired. He was still a good defensive big in his retirement. He'd probably still be a good defensive big. So as long as Al's shot is fine, like there's no reason he can't be our third center in 2 years. Like I totally believe that. And it saves you having to find somebody. Because one, he's going to take a minimum. So perfect. Yeah. That's like a low level salary slot. And you're getting a guy, can give you legitimate minutes when you need him to. So I'm all for it. He got his ring. He's not ring chasing anymore. To me, and like he clearly loves Boston. He comes out and says it all the time. So I would not be shocked if Al stayed with us. And I think it makes sense for the Celtics to keep him around for sure.
Yeah, dude. I just laughed because I looked up Tim Duncan's basketball reference right now. He retired in his age 31 season. He played 61 games at 25 minutes a night still.
Yeah.
The age 39 season. But the year before, firstly, age 38 season, still an all-star, by the way. 10th in MVP, 8th in DPOY, all-star, all-NBA, third team, all-defense, second team at age 38. It's like there are clear genetic outliers, and Horford's already proven that he is one of those guys. It's the Horford version of this longevity. And it's like what I said with LeBron, who's still a top 10 player or 15 player in the NBA somehow. It's just Horford is like that 2022 run when he was like the best switch defender in the NBA. He's just like a really good switch big still. And I don't know if you knew this, Spoonie, but Al Horford shot 40% from three in this year's playoffs. So, like, as you said, if that holds on and you can keep his legs fresh, he loves being in Boston, as you said. He's got his kid on the bench who's taken over the deuce role as being the Celtics mascot, being the towel boy all season long. I would be surprised if he doesn't play again. I think the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, he probably thinks he can play 2 more years. I think they just need to put him on like an actual retirement plan and actually prioritize, and I guess they tried to with Porzingis, prioritize getting a big man ahead of Cornet. So you've got big man Gafford, Cornet, and Horford can be part of a rotation as opposed to being like, hey, bro, can you play 37 minutes in the
against Indian? Yeah,
bro, all entire fourth quarters. No wonder he fucking looked slow, dude. Like, goddamn. We love you, Al. And the fact that we had to ask you to do that again was just so unfair. And he honestly wasn't really the main problem there. But
him having to play was the main problem because somebody else was the main problem. Yeah. So like if he does go somewhere, I love the Nuggets one. Plus, like they have Day'Ron Holmes who got hurt for the entire season, but people really liked him in the draft, and he's got some Al Horford to his game. So it'd be cool for Al to mentor him and Jokic. Just like 3 absurd passing bigs on that team. That would be sweet. Yeah, go West, but not the Lakers. Please, Big Al, if you go somewhere else and then come back the year after. That's the ideal to me. So speaking of the Knicks, I don't think we've talked about them firing Tibbs.
We haven't.
And we were both in agreement. I think it might've been the instant reaction after game 6 that I thought Tibbs was not the problem essentially in its roster construction. So were you surprised they fired him?
I was surprised. Like if you had to ask me if I thought they were going to fire him or not, I would have said no, but I wasn't necessarily stunned or surprised just because like it feels like to me them making significant roster moves is going to be really hard because they've given up everything that they did for Mikal Bridges. So what do? Well, your biggest thing that you can change is the coach, but the new coach is not going to be able to solve the problem of Towns and Brunson being a problem defensively. Can someone come in though and truly like help that team reach their offensive ceiling? That would be the question, because I think that's fair to ask if Tibbs did that by not playing the 5-out lineups. And there's a variety, like the Knicks film school guys banging their heads against the wall, like seeing Tibbs wait until game 4 of the conference finals or whatever it was to play more than 6 guys was hilarious. And it's like kind of helpful to have 2 other guys that can like give us good minutes, and Shamet and DeLon Wright actually acquitted themselves pretty nicely. It's like, so can they build out their can they build out their depth a little bit? Can Become Daddy first to floor favorite from last year's draft? Can he be a guy that maybe steps in year 2 and helps him? And does a coach that come in, like, does Taylor Jenkins get the job? A guy that's been really good with development and like being a guy that like leans on a deeper roster. That's someone that I would talk myself into. Now on the other end of the spectrum, like if you read into all of the like the fact that there was a New York Times article on the Athletic article that came out before the post-game press conferences of the Knicks even ended, hit piece came out.
I know.
Slandering Towns, specifically Towns being the scapegoat. But then people also leaking out like, we don't like that Rick Brunson is so involved. Like anytime there's a scuffle on the court, and you see fucking Rick Brunson getting into it. It's like, why are you here? Why is this sex pest running around the fucking the court? And Iman Shumpert on one of the NBA Finals broadcasts yesterday indicated that Rick Brunson could be a candidate for the head coaching job. And I'm like, that would be insane and would be the option that I am hoping happens, obviously. But obviously that would be a bad coaching decision. There's guys out there that I think you could talk yourself into, but I don't think that a coaching change is taking this team to championship winning level.
Yeah, no, I did not consider. I didn't hear Shump say that. That is incredible.
Shump.
Can you imagine if his dad was his coach in the NBA? That's like ridiculous, man. Might have happened with the Dunleavys, but Mike Dunleavy was a much different level of player than Jaylen Brunson. To me, Jenkins is the guy. I think that's who they should probably hire. Like, he's at least he's at least Tibbs level coach, so you're not going backwards, and probably a little bit better than Tibbs from like a tactical standpoint in a playoff series. But yeah, man, like there's no solving tactically Cat and Jaylen Brunson being your two best players. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. And so it's insane that they scapegoated Cat, who, like, you knew this when you traded for him. It's not like, oh my gosh, Karl Anthony Towns can't defend in the playoffs. Like, how did this happen? Like, you traded for the dude who needed Rudy Gobert to prop him up defensively. So it's just bizarre to me. Like, I don't really like Cat. I think he's pretty annoying in a lot of ways, but like, he was really good for the most part in these playoffs, like awesome, and kept you afloat offensively, and like won you a couple games by dominating in fourth quarters. Like, you cannot ask more of that guy, frankly. So to like take shots at him, I don't know who said it. I don't know who leaked that. But it seemed like somebody who's still around in the organization. Like, I don't think Tibbs is the type of guy to leak something like that on his way out the door. So I was I don't know if surprised is the right word, kind of to your point, like, because it's not out of the realm of possibility to fire a coach after the Eastern Conference Finals, but it probably should be if you're the Knicks and haven't been to a conference finals in 25 years.
Insane that they fired their coach after their most successful season in like multi-decades. The fact that they did that is also unsurprising. Like, where the Knicks were before Tibbs arrived is like the gutter, like the poverty franchise.
They were a joke.
Yeah. And they still are, which is awesome. Jaylen Brunson was the guy that they were a negative with him on the court in the Pacers series. For that to be a real thing, when he averaged like 30 points on like really good efficiency, it's like his offense has to be so fucking good to make up for the defensive deficiencies, and it didn't in the Pacers series. The other thing that came out is kind of floating around with the Knicks is that they're trying to trade for Durant, which I don't think they can even do with Towns, as far as I'm aware, with the apron stuff. According to both multiple podcasts I've listened to and the Trade Machine. So, but if they were able to pull that off, and it's like Mitchell Robinson, Durant, OG, Mikal Bridges, Brunson, that's a much better fitting five than with Cat. It's still, how many minutes can Mitchell Robinson play? But yeah, that would make me upset if they were somehow able to pull that off, because I enjoy watching Kevin Durant play basketball, and Cat was definitely someone I found easy to be annoyed at while rooting against the Knicks. It would be harder if he was gone for Durant.
I know. I'm a Durant guy too. They would have to first make a trade to dump salary.
Yeah.
So no team's just going to do that for you. To be like, yeah, sure, we'll do. Yeah, we love the Knicks. Yeah. Oh, crosstown rival, Brooklyn. Yeah, we'll just take one of your players for nothing so you can trade for Kevin Durant. That's not happening. And then, like, they don't have anything to offer. No. Like, Pacome Dadier as the centerpiece with Cat is not getting it done. Maybe the Suns think, like, hey, it's the age thing with Cat, so it's worthwhile. And maybe it is. But I suspect there will be something else on the table for another team that makes sense. And that's if the Knicks, who have no assets, can even find a way to trim salary via trade in the offseason. So I'm not sure. I really don't know what Durant's value is, to be honest with you, in the offseason. I don't have a good idea. Is it like 2 firsts, maybe like 2 decent firsts? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm upset because I would have loved for him to, because he's kind of said that he's willing to take less in like his next deal. And it's like, could we have gotten KD on like this cheap contract to play as like a third option with Jaylen and Jayson? Would have been just like basically just replace Sam House's minutes with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like I know he's old, but like he just played 62 games and gave you 27 points per game on what was the true shooting, like 60 something insane percent.
I'm
yeah,
sure
65.
Like
no, that was the playoffs. Sorry.
62 maybe in the regular season.
64% true shooting, dude.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, dude? The guy's going to be able to give you 20 on 60% true shooting when he's like 100 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's again going back to the age curve stuff. Like he's clearly proving that he's going to be a guy that can just keep playing into this later stage of his career to an extent, not in the same level that he was able to, like when he was with the Nets. But and then the other bit that like I've seen come out is that the Knicks are preparing to offer a tsunami level offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I'm like, I don't think they know what a tsunami is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they've got that confused with like a wave pool or something like that, because we covered it already. They can't trade any picks.
Yeah, I don't think Cat's getting that one done. I mean, like at least is in the realm of possibility that the Suns are like, we really like Cat for some reason, so we'll do it.
That makes sense
like,
to me.
Yeah, like it makes no sense for Milwaukee to do that, and like it's like the Princess Bride. I do not think that word means what you think it means. Like tsunami,
Inconceivable.
Yeah. So like, I don't understand this. Like, it's just the Knicks nixing. I think just like we're the biggest market in the world for basketball, so like we'll find a way to get Giannis. You have nothing to trade. Like, there's just absolutely no way this is happening. But sure, put Cat on the table for Durant or Giannis. Like, okay, I don't know where Giannis is gonna go, but I suspect it might be Boston. It might be out west because they're the teams with all the fucking assets.
It is crazy. If he goes out west, that would be like, I enjoy being in the Eastern Conference because it's good to make it easier for us to make the finals, but that would just be such an absurd imbalance. I'm not sure it's ever been this bad before, where it's like Cooper Flags now in the West, and now you send Giannis west as well. It's like
Tatum. Even Harper's going out west. Yeah, like Harper, maybe he's not a star, but yeah.
Still, yeah, the first 2 picks going in out west as well, and of course the Sixers have the 3rd pick. It's like, well, you know, they're irrelevant at this point, most likely as well. Spoony, we've done it again in that we had Drew Holiday trade stuff on the rundown and we didn't get to it. And I think that's fine because we are going to have weeks, maybe months before anything actually happens. So yeah, we can definitely save that for after game 2 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that. There'll be plenty of good stuff with the Drew trades. Yeah, we need to find some content. I'm going to do another prospects breakdown for Patreon sometime in the next couple days. So keep an eye out for that. Jake, you got anything to plug, brother?
Just hop on the playback streams. We're still watching all the finals games. We had Sam LaFrance and Robbie Fletcher on yesterday.
Nice.
We're all Pacers fans, so get in there, get in the chat. Yeah, man, we've got a series, but it's good in that we have more basketball for longer. But the fact that they've spread these games out is like, now we've got to wait 2 days and then like 2 more days for game 3. So it's quite spread out, which is both good and bad. But we'll be back next week for a playback. And yeah, Myrene's in there. Get in the playback rooms. But yeah, nothing else going on for now.
Hell yeah, man. Playback's super fun. All right, that is going to do it for this one. We are out. Go Celtics, go Pacers. Peace.